She went missing. I was at work and her children's school phoned me to let me know that Kalisha had not picked her children up from school.
Steady, are you ready? Are you ready? What's going on? What's going on?
It's so many people right now to this day that knows what happened to my daughter. They know where she's at. They know who did it. They know the people that were involved. Yet you sit quietly
What's
and you
going
say nothing.
on?
4,000 people who are missing in our state. Not all of their stories are in the headlines, but for their families, nothing is more important than finding them.
I never ever in my life thought that I would ever look at a missing persons poster and my child would be the picture. I cope. I deal with it. I mean, really, I just deal with it. But it's not a night that I don't go to bed, that I don't think about my child.
Miss Madden has been missing since Monday, November the 28th, 2011. She was last seen leaving the Vegas strip club where she worked. At about 4 in the morning, Miss Madden entered a black truck with 3 unknown black males. She is 4 feet 11 inches tall, brown eyes, black hair with blonde tint in the back.
She would never leave her children. I know that my child would not have left with strangers. So when whatever vehicle she got into the vehicle with people that she knew. And that's the last time she's been seen.
My mama was the best, I think, the best mom in the world to me. And it's hard for her not to be home. I miss her coming home, hugging us, and saying she loves us.
My daughter is not the only child that's missing out of Michigan. How could you sit back every single day and know you can make an anonymous phone call and change somebody's life, and you won't do it?
So I'll never forget my mom going into that police station and talking about Kalisha's case, because they were very transparent with us that Kalisha was young. She was a mother of 6, and while they were helpful, she was an exotic dancer. And in translation, what I took from that was she's not going to get the kind of attention that we're trying to give her. In order to even get her story on the news, my mom was able to do that just because she knew someone who helped us get on the news and say, no, something's wrong, she's missing.
If you have any information regarding the whereabouts of Miss Madden, we are asking you to help her family and make an anonymous call to Crime Stoppers at 1-800-SPEAK-UP.
What's it like to see these pictures? It breaks my heart. It does. I look at her pictures all the time and I just cry because she gone.
Kalisha Marquita Madden was born on February 4, 1985 in Detroit, Michigan. Growing up in a vibrant and bustling city, Kalisha was known for her lively spirit and infectious laughter. Kalisha always found a way to bring joy to those around her. Her family was a significant part of her life.
She was my oldest child, firstborn. I had Kalisha as a teenage mother, and she definitely changed my life around. She was vibrant. She was very funny. She was very loving, and she was family oriented. We are very family oriented. We had a big family, and everybody we met up for holidays and everything. So when she did go missing, it was a red flag for everybody because we kind of knew her routine, and she had never got to this point where she would not ask calls and would not respond to none of us.
Her mother, Pamela Johnson, and her siblings played a crucial role in her upbringing, providing support and guidance. As she grew older, Kalisha became a mother herself. Her children were the center of her world, and she worked tirelessly to provide for them. Kalisha worked as an exotic dancer in Detroit, a career choice that her mother did not agree with, but ultimately supported her daughter out of love. She was employed at Sting Gentlemen's Club on Michigan Avenue. Kalisha went by the stage name Mocha. She was well liked by her colleagues and clients who appreciated her vibrant personality and her smile.
Kalisha was loved beyond this world. She was funny. She was happy. And when we read all these posts and we see these comments, sometimes it's hard because people make their judgments or say whatever they want to say about her. She wasn't a bad person. She was a person who helped people. She was a person who would drop everything to do what she had to do for her family.
However, life as a dancer in Detroit was filled with challenges and dangers, especially in the nightlife scene. The Sting Gentlemen's Club has been scrutinized over the years for reports of intense violence and concerns about the safety of its dancers. Tragically, on the night of November 28, 2011, after finishing her shift, Kalisha was last seen leaving the club and has not been seen since.
And Kalisha was a great big sister. Like, she was the big sister you could have fun with. She was the one who would, there's nothing she wouldn't do for you. And we kind of knew something was wrong pretty early on, because she was kind of the type of person that even if she didn't act, she wouldn't just ignore us. She would tell us what she was doing and kind of laugh about it later.
Sting's Gentlemen Club, located at 6609 Michigan Avenue in Detroit, has a complex history. Originally known as the Vegas Strip Club, it underwent a rebranding to become the Sting Gentlemen's Club.
New year, new car.
The transformation marked a new era for the establishment, aiming to attract more diverse and upscale clientele. The club features multiple performance stages, a full-service bar, and VIP rooms, all designed to provide a comfortable and engaging atmosphere for its customers. The venue typically has around 20 to 25 dancers to perform each night. However, the club's history is not without controversy. Throughout the years, the establishment has faced significant scrutiny due to incidents of violence and ongoing concerns regarding the safety of both dancers and patrons who have been affected.
The shooting is Detroit's 8th mass shooting of the year, in what has been a particularly violent year in the city and in Metro Detroit, and police say they've had trouble with nightclubs like the Sting before.
We do have issues with the adult entertainment clubs in the area, and we are continually working to enforce in that area. But it is something that's continually on our radar and something that we work to keep at bay.
Police now asking anyone with information to come
Chaos
forward.
erupts as shots ring out near a Southwest Detroit strip club. Bullets striking 6 people, critically injuring 2. Say the victims, 2 females and 4 males, all in their 20s. The 24-year-old and 28-year-old male victims are in critical condition.
Carolyn, this all went down on July 5th, just a few weeks ago, out here on Michigan Avenue. We are at the Sting Gentlemen's Club. Here's that video that police want you to see. It's all about this man right there in the white shirt and red shorts. He's obviously upset, visibly mad about what's going on, jawing back and forth with someone during the early morning hours of that Tuesday. He keeps yelling and yelling, hand in his pocket the whole time, and then a fight breaks out. He pulls out his gun, tries pistol whipping a guy, and then starts firing shots before running away.
How many times did you say you've called Detroit police for a shooting at this business in the last year?
Too many.
She says it mainly stems from the late-night crowds at the adult entertainment venue, and she's not only fed up, but worried about her family's safety.
Every weekend is the same thing, so I hope this place is closed.
Notable figures, including politicians and business people, have frequented the club, adding to its notoriety. One high-profile incident involved Detroit City Councilman Gabe Leland, who was caught in a bribery scandal at the club, further highlighting the complex and often turbulent history of the Sting Gentlemen's Club.
Free Press and reporter M.L. Elric put a Detroit City Councilman at this Southwest Detroit strip club, brokering a deal for bribery. Now, he's already been charged, but this is the first time we're hearing it all go down. The players, Detroit City Councilman Gabe Leland and Detroit businessman Bob Carmack. The two met over campaign contributions years back. Then in summer 2017, they met over drinks at Sting Gentlemen's Club. Through the music and other noises, you can hear Leland seemingly taking a bribe.
I'll give it to you in cashier's check or money orders. That way you can do whatever you want to do with it.
Carmack was mic'd up by the FBI, one of several recorded conversations catching Leland.
Drove straight down to the FBI building, knocked on their door, and said, I'm being extorted.
Carmack, making a name for himself with lingering lawsuits involving property ownership in Detroit, wanted Leland to block the sale of some of his property in exchange for $15,000 as part of the sting, a deal Leland took. The recordings obtained through the Freedom of Information Act reveal one of Leland's staffers picking up an envelope with cash to seal the deal.
But ain't did I help the feds, is that I felt that you had to pay to play.
Despite these challenges, the club continues to operate in Detroit.
I never ever in my life thought that I would ever look at a missing persons poster and my child would be the picture. I cope. I deal with it. I mean, really, I just deal with it. But it's not a night that I don't go to bed, that I don't think about my child, that I don't pray that she's okay. She would never leave her children. I know that my child would not have left with strangers. So when whatever vehicle she got into the vehicle with people that she knew. And that's the last time she's been seen. My daughter is not the only child that's missing out of Michigan. It's more than just her. How could you sit back every single day and know you can make an anonymous phone call and change somebody's life and you won't do it? I just want to bring her home, by any means necessary, whether it's dead or alive, just to bring her home, just for her kids, just closure.
On the night of November 28, 2011, Kalisha was last seen leaving the Sting nightclub. It was a typical night at the club, and Kalisha had just completed her shift early Monday morning. However, she did not leave alone. Around 3 a.m., witnesses saw Kalisha getting into a black SUV with 3 black men. One of the men was reportedly using crutches, and the other had braids. According to reports, the man with the crutches was named Benny. This sighting in the parking lot was the last known moment anyone saw Kalisha. Kalisha had her phone, purse, and dance bag with her. When Kalisha failed to pick up her children from school the following day, her mother, Pamela Johnson, knew something was wrong.
Still, we have no 100% proof of if she willingly got in this car or unwillingly got in the car, but it would have been around 1 or 2 a.m. Her children were with a family member of ours, and the family member took them to school thinking, okay, she maybe just stayed at a friend's house or something and didn't make it back here to take them to school. The school then called my mom later on when they didn't get picked up to say, hey, her children didn't get picked up from school. My mom was very calm at first, but then we made a few phone calls and kind of all agreed something's wrong, something's not right. She would have responded to somebody. So it would have been early morning that she went missing. Whatever happened had to happen around 2 or 3 in the morning.
Okay. Pamela's concern grew. Therefore, she promptly filed a missing persons report with the Detroit Police Department and started searching for her daughter.
Well, on the day that she went missing, I was at work and her children's school phoned me to let me know that Kalisha had not picked her children up from school. I was working. And so I got off of work and I went and picked the children up. And at first, I did not think that there was anything wrong. But as the day kept going on and time kept passing, and I'm asking her sisters, my other daughters, and everything, to go on Facebook, wherever, to go on the social medias and see if she had posted anything, and she had not. So when I did not hear from Kalisha, that whole day, and when I didn't hear from her by, I'll say it might have been about midnight that night, I got up out of my bed and I went to the Sting nightclub where Kalisha was last seen at. And I went to the Sting and I did some interviewing and I asked some questions, and I was informed of who Kalisha left with, what time she left, and that she had been there and that she had left with people that she knew. And then that next morning, when I still did not hear from Kalisha, I then went to the 6th precinct at about maybe I'll say about 8 o'clock that morning to do a missing persons, to put out a missing persons report on Kalisha. And it just so happened this particular day, the computers was down for DPD. And so I wasn't able to put my report in that morning. I had to come back, and my report wasn't put in until about 4 o'clock that afternoon. And when I was given the detective to take my report for my daughter, I'm thinking I'm talking to a missing persons detective. The original report was took by a by Henry Ford High School's police security guard. And we knew who he was because my other daughter had attended Henry Ford. And I was just really confused as to why he was taking this particular report. But he said that they were working short, da 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 da. And so then I put my report in that day that, that she had been missing. No one had heard from her. She had no activity on her social media pages whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of a roller coaster ride that I can't even begin to explain to anybody really what it did to us as a family, to me as a mother, to her children as children, just to everybody, because it was something that, you never, ever, ever think as a parent that you're going to wake up one day and your child is just gone. Like she never existed. She just disappeared off the face of the earth. So it was very devastating. And as a mother, I just went into a mode of, I'm going to find her. I got to find her. And I just ran with everything. I just got started. I did searches. We did flyers. I did everything that I just thought I could do to try to just find her. It never, ever occurred to me that I would never find her. That never was one of my thoughts.
Yeah.
I even promised my grandkids that, I would find her, whether I had found her dead or alive.
Kalisha's disappearance was reported to the Detroit Police Department, which promptly launched an investigation into her whereabouts. But despite intensive searches and public appeals, no significant leads emerged. Her mother started doing her own research and found some of her belongings in a residential area. She said it took for her to go talk to the dancers herself and people at the club before she could find real answers.
She had a purse, she had a phone, she had a dance bag. Her phone was traced and it was put in the Northfield Tireman area, which is where I did a lot of searches. There were houses, there were a lot of abandoned houses. We searched this area for many days.
We did.
We searched this area for many days. I went into places, we went into places that I would never, ever would have got caught seen in. Even if you really look back, I even was summoned to a home to tell me that my daughter was in the attic of a house and she was deceased. I was given an address. I got that address and I went to that address because the police didn't want to respond to me. I did not find Kalisha, but I did find a deceased male that was up in that attic dead. Somebody deliberately, why would you send me to someone that is deceased in the attic, not my daughter? And it was somebody that was deceased, and I brought closure to somebody's family because I then waited. I notified homicide. I waited around. to let them know, but I just went looking for my child. We found some items that belonged to Kalisha. We found a makeup mirror, uh uh like a powder pad. When we found these things at the property, we did call the police and they came and they took these things into evidence. Never heard nothing else after that. And I will say, because I'm just not going to speak badly about DPD, because in the beginning I was on their head. And I then found out that they did search and dig for my daughter on several different occasions from tips that people had given. The tip is that she is buried somewhere in that particular area. She's buried. So they did do a lot of digging that I didn't know about, but they did do some digging and they came up, with nothing.
Word around town, according to her mother, was that Kalisha was setting up men. However, her mother stated that rumor only surfaced when she confronted one of the men from the truck about her daughter.
Until I confronted the person that took my daughter. I confronted them, okay, the very next day to ask where my child was. And after that confrontation, the story came out that Kalisha was setting people up and all of this. That is not what I believe happened.
The police did identify the 3 men as persons of interest, but no arrests were made.
They spoke to a lot of people regarding what happened with Kalisha to give people clarity who do think that she had some type of money when she went missing. Kalisha had not been dancing for like consistently when she went missing, but actually one of the last, she came to my mom's house to visit us maybe a few days before she went missing. And Kalisha was the type of person that if she had money, we all had money. She didn't have any money. She was asking me when she last seen me to give her some money to go to the store to buy stockings, which isn't even like her. So she wasn't a person who would go out and do a whole bunch of horrible things to people and then turn around and get in the car with those same people. If my husband picked me up from work right now and 3 of his cousins or 4 of his cousins were in the car, I would get in the car with my husband with no problem. And right. I think that I'm going to get in this car and no one's going to find me or nobody's ever going to see me again. And I don't believe that Kalisha thought that either. And our hope is just that people will remember that she's still out there. She is still missing. And if you know something or you see something, say something.
The owners of Sting's Gentleman Club did not make any widely public statements regarding Kalisha's disappearance, leaving the focus of the investigation and media coverage on police efforts, family appeals, and the community response.
My name is Anthony Jones of Crime Stoppers of Michigan. We're here on the 29th birthday of Kalisha Madden, also known as Mocha, to help her family find answers concerning this missing mother of 6. Miss Madden has been missing since Monday, November the 28th, 2011. She was last seen leaving the Vegas strip club where she worked. The incident took place on the 6000 block of Michigan Avenue, west of Livernois on Detroit's west side. At about 4 in the morning, Miss Madden entered a black truck with 3 unknown black males. She is 4 feet 11 inches tall, brown eyes, black hair with blonde tint in the back, weighing 160 pounds. She was wearing a blue jean jacket, blue jean pants, and a black shirt with tan Timberland boots. She has not been seen or heard from since.
My daughter was a very vibrant, happy, loving, beautiful young lady. She had 6 kids that me and my parents are now raising, along with my children. They miss their mom. They want their mom.
The way that I cope with my everyday life is to imagine that she's on a vacation and that she'll be home soon. But then when I sit and I have a moment to myself, reality kick in that she may not come home. So it's hurtful. I have to look at her children every day and wonder how they feel when they grow up without a mother.
My mama was the best, I think, the best mom in the world to me. And it's hard for her not to be home. I miss her coming home, hugging us, and saying she loves us.
If you have any information regarding the whereabouts of Miss Madden, we are asking you to help her family and make an anonymous call to Crime Stoppers at 1-800-SPEAK-UP. Crime Stoppers of Michigan is offering a cash reward of up to $1,000 for information that leads to an arrest.
Kalisha had no history of leaving without warning, and her mother feared something bad had happened. And unfortunately, rather than the community offering support to the family, they were subjected to prank calls and false hopes from people around them.
We didn't get a lot of support. I'm not going to say a lot, but during that time it was very traumatic for our family. We put our numbers on flyers. We were getting prank phone calls. My mom was getting calls saying she's being tortured in this place or that place. We're getting calls at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning that she's being held in places, and the police would not come and look with us. So a lot of times, my mom would have to get on the phone and just call our entire family and basically say, I just got a tip. I don't know who it's from, but this is where they're saying she's at. And we all get up and go. It's traumatizing when you're looking in abandoned houses and you're looking for someone and you think there's a strong chance I'm going to find this person's body, but people haven't talked and told what they know happened to her, and we understand what it's like in the city. I'm at a point where I don't even care if we never find out who specifically did anything to her. I really just want her children to have the opportunity to be able to put her to rest properly.
The situation grew more alarming when other women in the adult entertainment industry also started to go missing.
Well, a serial killer is defined by the dictionary as somebody who kills 2 or more people in 2 or more incidents. So as long as we have more than two or more bodies in 2 or more incidents, which the evidence seems to suggest, it is by definition a serial killer. Now, is this, another Jack the Ripper or anything like that? That's going a little bit too far to say, but it's pretty obvious from the information that's out there that we do have a serial killer of some variety or another that's out there.
Well, turning now to the murders of 4 women in Detroit, investigators are working to confirm the identity of the second woman whose body was found burned in the trunk of a car. 7 Action News first told you yesterday that medical examiners identified one of the victims as 28-year-old Vernethea McCrary. According to police, 3 of the 4 victims had ties to the sex industry. And tonight, a local group is raising its profile to provide help to women in the XXX business. 7 Action News reporter Michael Rosenfield reports on the group's mission.
It's terrifying to think, anything like that is happening around here. We don't have very many ways to keep ourselves safe other than going by the sound of the guy's voice. And I tried working 40 hours a week with a family to support on my own. And after I figured in daycare costs, taxes, health insurance for both me and my daughter, I was ending up taking home $75 a week.
Found murdered this month are 24-year-old Denisha Hunt, 23-year-old Renisha Landers, 29-year-old Vernethea McCrary, and a 4th woman who has not been identified. Police aren't saying which of the 3 were connected to adult services. Another woman, Kalisha Madden, is also an exotic dancer, and she's been missing for a month.
This lifestyle is dangerous, that this is real, what's going on, and that it's a call for action to protect our women in Detroit. And I don't believe that we're dealing with this as, as a problem of an isolated event. I think that this probably happens more often than not, but we're seeing it in a concentrated timeline, and so we're forced to do something about it. We're forced to pay attention. I would strongly consider finding another way. If you're going to continue to stay in the sex industry, you need to find another way to promote your services, because obviously you're being targeted and this isn't working.
Just 2 days after Kalisha was reported missing, her best friend, Gordone, disappeared.
Back when Kalisha went missing on November the 28th of 2011. The day after that, another young lady went missing. By December the 17th of that year, there were 6 missing women out of Detroit.
5 had been found deceased. Okay. Each one of these ladies was connected to the dance world somehow, whether it be they were dancers, or they were barmaids, or they were kin to someone who was in that environment. I then asked, at the time, the chief of police was Chief Gabi. I asked then, I really was like, there's a serial killer. There's somebody out here that's killing the dancers, you know. And not only that, I went into every dance club in Detroit. I went into every dance club in Detroit, went into the dressing rooms, spoke to these ladies, spoke to the house moms. Okay. So I was able to get a lot of information to help the police find out what happened to my daughter. And everything was swept under the table.
And a week later, the bodies of 4 other women were found in car trunks across Detroit, raising fears of a serial killer.
24-year-old Demisha Hunt and her cousin, 23-year-old Renisha Landers, were like best friends. Hunt, a new mother, and Landers worked for Chrysler. And Saturday night, relatives say the two went out together and came here to the Blackberry nightclub on Grand River on the city's west side. Question is, what happened to the young women when they left?
I was worried about that, due to the fact that she does have a 10-month-old baby.
Why them two? I wouldn't wish this on anybody, and definitely not these two.
Sadly, on December 19, 2011, Detroit police discovered the bodies of 23-year-old Renisha Landers and her 24-year-old cousin, Denisha Hunt, in the trunk of a Chrysler 300 parked in between abandoned houses.
Demisha Hunt and her cousin Renisha Landers were found by teenagers in the trunk of Renisha's newer Chrysler 300.
The trunk was already open, and they went back there, and it was 2 dead girls back there.
The car was found in between 2 abandoned homes on Promenade Street on Detroit's east side, one of them found without any clothes.
Natasha Curtis, who was killed on the morning of her 30th birthday, brother, who is now the guardianship of her 3 children, said a birthday party was planned for the day she went missing. She had a friend that was with her. Both girls were found burned in a trunk beyond recognition.
Vernethia and another woman were found in the trunk after firefighters were called to put out a car fire in a small garage on the city's east side. The gruesome and disturbing discovery came just days after 2 cousins, ages 23 and 24, were found in the trunk of a car not far away. That car was left between 2 vacant homes.
She was a good person. Like, she had 3 kids, you know. She had friends everywhere. It's very sad. I wish this guy would like turn himself in, or if anybody knew something, they would say something. This guy needs to be brought to justice.
The investigation led to the arrest of James Brown, who was charged and convicted.
In the eyes of family members as they got their first look at the man who is connected to the murders of these women. State your name, sir.
James Brown.
It was one of the few moments when James Brown of Sterling Heights lifted his head during his arraignment.
He young himself, you feel me? I don't understand it. You know, life crazy. I don't understand it at all.
In the courtroom, emotions ran high as Brown's bond was set at $500,000 for each of the 2 cases.
I feel like dying. I feel like dying just with her.
During the time, Detroit Police Chief Ralph had said 3 of the slain women had placed ads for pre-arranged dating services on Backpage.com. However, relatives have said 2 of the girls were not escorts and they joined the sites for legitimate dates. Dr. Diaz, who performed autopsies on 2 of the women, said he found no evidence of trauma. According to him, the girls died from a lack of oxygen to the brain. James Brown is 6'10" and weighs 350 pounds. Testimony indicated that James may have sat on these women to kill them. Also, James' DNA was found under the victim's fingernails, and blood found in James' house matches the victim. Once James went to trial, a jury convicted him of 10 counts, including first-degree murder and arson. In just a few years after that incident, members of the Detroit Police Department faced termination in relation to a case we reported involving another Detroit dancer named Strawberry.
And if you remember, a few years after that is when the Detroit Police Department had a corruption case where there were officers that were fired for corruption. Okay. So I did know that at the time when my daughter went missing, I felt as though this particular person had police connections. He had to have police connections. He had them because I was personally told by the police department that this man was under investigation with them. That he was under investigation and they were watching him. So if he was under investigation and you were watching him, why didn't you see my daughter? What happened to her? If you watched, if you watched it. And even the police department, even though Kalisha has not been deemed deceased, with the homicide department, she has not been deemed deceased, but homicide believes that she is deceased. That is their thought, that she is gone as well. So I don't need, I don't know. It's a lot of people that knew a lot of things, and Kalisha was not the only female that had been tortured, killed, or brutalized by this particular individual. He was well known in the police department.
Despite James' conviction and corruption being uncovered, the mystery of Kalisha's disappearance remains unsolved. As of today, her family continues to seek answers and justice for Kalisha and other missing women in Detroit.
I am 55 years old, born and raised in Detroit all of my life. That's all I ever know. I was a law-abiding citizen. I have never been arrested in my life or none of that. And I was just so devastated that the one time in my life that I really, really needed the police, I didn't get that. I didn't get the services that I relied on from the police department. Like even right now, with you all running Kalisha's story, we start getting new tips that had not been tips that we had never heard of before. And till this day, right now, with the tips that we've gotten, I have left messages. I have called the police department. I have called the detective handling Kalisha's case. I've called homicide. I've called the cold case files, and I have yet to get a response in regards to my daughter's case. And then the sad part about it is that it's so many people right now to this day that knows what happened to my daughter. They know where she's at. They know who did it. They know the people that were involved. Yet you sit quietly and you say nothing, okay? Because we have this notion of snitching. First of all, I am a law-abiding citizen, so I am not a snitch if you do something and I tell on you. Because if you commit a crime around me, I am going to tell on you because I'm a law-abiding citizen, okay? That is the difference. I'm not a criminal, okay? So me telling that someone is doing something that is illegal is not me snitching.
But it's always alarming to me that, I say this all the time, but the statistics really do show that Black women particularly make up at least 38% of missing people in America, even though our overall population is only 13%. So I'll never forget my mom going into that police station and talking about Kalisha's case because they were very transparent with us that Kalisha was young. She was a mother of 6, and while they were helpful, she was an exotic dancer. And in translation, what I took from that was she's not going to get the kind of attention that we're trying to give her. In order to even get her story on the news, my mom was able to do that just because she knew someone who helped us get on the news and say, no, something's wrong. She's missing. Every week, like clockwork, I check the NAMIS website for unidentified and unclaimed bodies everywhere just to see if there's anything or anyone there who could be her. Well, my mom says we've called, we've texted. Every single time I run into a body that I feel like possibly could be Kalisha, I send an email about it. I constantly reach out to them. There's really no response that they're giving. But even as my mom said, even with us having strong leads, but not really being given that support to help find her, whether she's dead or alive, she's not trash. Kalisha was loved. She was a great part of our family. And the hardest thing in life has been us having to raise her children and our own and how close our family is. But to just know that she's out there like trash, like she doesn't belong to anyone. And she does. She has a family who loves her. We just want to be able to bury her properly, if that's what we have to do, or to bring her home if there's some type of miracle chance that she's still alive. But to know that there's a possibility that she's just out there, people who know our family know we don't go a day without talking to my mom or each other, and just, she deserves to have a proper service, and her children deserve closure. She would be on her way to having her third grandchild right now. And she's not here to experience any of this. If you know something, even if you think it won't help us, please just tell us, let us know. We're not looking for anyone to go to jail forever. We're not looking for any craziness. Really, we want an opportunity to bury her properly. My grandmother passed away. There's not a time where I visited my grandmother that she did not go into her basement and cry about Kalisha. She wouldn't do it in front of us. But my grandmother and Kalisha were extremely close. And my grandmother left this world not knowing what happened to her.
I will continue to keep my thoughts and prayers with the family of Kalisha Madden. This is absolutely devastating, and to know that people that was around her at those last moments haven't gave her family straight answers. You all, let me know your thoughts and your opinions about this down below. Let's please respect the family and victim in the comments. I love you all dearly, and with that being said, please don't forget to check on your loved ones.